Adam, I read your post a couple of days ago about something called workplace love contracts. Tell me, what is this? Tell me.
So, in the spirit of Valentine's Day coming up later this week, I tried to add some levity and also incorporate this concept, which is not a new one. The term love contract came out and about, in response to sort of the Me Too movement from the early 2020s and uh, originally 2017, which is where the Me Too movement was popularized. And basically, the concept is that people that are working together and may develop romantic relationships, no surprise there, and to sort of oversee that relationship is still consensual and still fine within a workplace context, those two employees would have an obligation to memorialize that they're in a romantic relationship, a consensual one, to their employer. And if that relationship ends, they're to also notify their employer so that their employer can potentially take certain measures to protect their business interests, including maybe separating the two employees or, having them work in different positions so that this no longer consensual relationship doesn't turn into what could be a sexual harassment type thing.
So this is actually an employer involved in it. It's not just a
Yeah.
okay.
So and I know it sounds odd for employers to get involved in personal romantic relationships among their employees. And, in the post that I did earlier this week, I also attached the podcast I did about 5 years ago, actually doing a deeper dive into this very topic. And there really is like a balancing act between employer doing too much, maybe being too intrusive, but also at the same time protecting their own interests to, not put their head in the sand to what could be a problematic relationship. Because believe it or not, sexual harassment claims can arise out of relationships which have ended, and then you have one of the two individuals continuing to pursue the other where there's no longer consent. And then that can be a problem within the workplace, that can be a problem in their personal lives, and it can create exposure for the company if it's not handled properly. So that's why this concept of a love contract really puts the onus back on the employees to notify. That's all it really is. It's a notification requirement to notify their employer if the relationship ends, and for the employer to then decide should it do anything else to protect the interests of the two individuals and protect its own interests to avoid any potential for like a sexual harassment type thing.
So you break up with the one person by text and then you email your employer as the second step.
I know it sounds odd, but believe me, it was a lot more commonplace, I would say, earlier on in the 2020s. We don't hear about it as much anymore. What I've been doing lately with companies is making it a part of like a non-fraternization or a conflict of interest type policy. So it's the term love contract is a little bit outdated, but hey, we can bring it back to the workplace in 2025.